Hello and welcome to the 1912 Exiles podcast, the original, the biggest, the best Newport County podcast made by the fans for the fans. We are brought to you by the Terrace Cymru Podcast Network and in association with the wonderful team at the Riverside Sports Bar in Newport, the city's home for live sport with a great menu to get your burger fix. I'm Jamie. I'm your host today, and I am joined by the wonderful Alfie. Alfie, how are we?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Excellent, excellent. And you know what? We're also joined by all of you because this will be a bit of a correspondence special. We put a call out for your views, and huge thanks to those of you who left comments across all the socials. So, Newport managed to hold on for a nervy 1-0 win at home to Shrewsbury yesterday, as the relegation dogfight is well and truly heating up. Before I get to you, Alfie, to get your verdict on the game, I'm just going to rattle through some of your thoughts, you, the listener, on the game and the star performers yesterday. So, well, we can't start anywhere else but friend of the pod, Stu, can we? Stu says, awful game with two teams that didn't seem to understand how wind works, but crucial 3 points, especially with Crawley and Barrow winning. Diesel on Twitter, solid display, cope better with them than with the wind. The wind was clearly a big factor, wasn't it, yesterday? Camwer, Lloyd, and Kroll a lively front three, but would still like to kill games off with a second goal. Alex says, zero quality, all desire. It's been too long since we won a game because we just wanted to win so badly. And Alan Cooper talk about grinding out a result, not bold enough first half, even though the opposition weren't up to much. Great to see Bobby coming on and getting a superb goal. We'll come back to some of those comments shortly, but yeah, overall views, Alfie, of the game yesterday. How bad was the win factor, and was it a game of quality at all, or was it just whoever managed to deal with the win best got the win?
Yeah, it was. I think I messaged someone at halftime saying this was just a struggle to watch. I think right up until the goal, it was nervy and just poor, really two poor teams. Um, and we only kicked on when I don't know if he got to the players, but Barrow scored. They went, I think, 2-1 up, and then like a minute later we scored, and it was like something just came across like the crowd because everyone started to like hear in different sort of pockets of the ground, and then we scored, and then we played well, we defended well, but yeah, the wind that played a part. I think Bobby can take credit for the goal, but also the wind can get a bit of an assist. But
Yeah.
I just happy to get 3 points at home.
Yeah, getting that 3 points I think was massive. I did the preview with the Shrewsbury pod, and you know they sort of had a great February, but maybe sort of dropped off a bit in March.
Mm.
Maybe that feeling of sort of safety, although they're not quite safe yet. But yeah, getting a win against the teams down the bottom around you is going to be huge, and we'll come on to those other 6 pointers that we've got as well. Do you feel like, because I've sort of been going on and on for the last probably, I'd say, all season really, about just how we don't have that sort of nous and ability to sort of grind out a result, or just sort of do the know how to win a game of football in League Two. Sort of things go against us. You mentioned that that maybe the Barrow score was sort of filtering through. I mean, did it feel like as who was it on Twitter? Yeah, Alex saying it's desire. Did it feel like there was real desire to really get that win?
Yeah, I think the Bromley and Walsall defeats like hurt the team. Like the first time I've seen them sort of bounce back. It would be nice to bounce back at Walsall, but I think they took it to heart for like one of the first times this season and realised that we are sort of where we are because we can't grind out results. And yesterday was probably the best win all season. I know we've won away at Salford and Barnet, but that felt like the relief from everyone in the ground when the final whistle went yesterday. It was like the great escape period where we just had to win.
Yeah, yeah. I was just going to say that it just feels like those games. I think,
Mm,
yeah. What do we win? 7 out of 12, which
yeah.
is, I mean, ridiculous when you think about it. But yeah, there were those games. It was just like those 1-0 wins or something scrappy. Doesn't matter,
Mm.
how the goals go in. Although Bobby's was a lovely finish yesterday. Um, but it's just making sure that you keep them out of the other end, and you just get the what. It doesn't matter. We can win as long as we win games 1-0. We still get the 3 points, don't we? And
Mm,
with those other teams, winning as well, it's just such a huge, huge, 3 points. I have to say.
mm.
Um, before I get your thoughts on players in particular, we had loads of comments on who were the standout players yesterday, and I'll read out these comments. I just want to see if you agree with them. We'll start with Mr. Lee on Blue Sky. Sprangler was excellent, so much energy, and when he makes a mistake, he busts a gut to put it right. His man of the match there. Alid on Blue Sky agrees. He set up a good example for the younger players around him. Um, Andrew on Facebook, Cam kicked everything that moves, helped by the Boston Sprangler. So a lot of love for Sprangler there. And Jane over on Facebook says, great goal from Bobby. Give a shout to Ben Lloyd as well as a man of the match. Paul on Blue Sky, the much maligned Mr. Camwa seems to have been the difference since the Tranmere game. Chris Magnus on Twitter, when Bobby's up for it, a much better side. Smith's best game in a county shirt as well. Cam Evans, brilliant too. Lloyd Harper said playing consistently better, moving Cam Evans into midfield has given us more legs and bite. And LeBlamba on Twitter, Bobby will receive most of the plaudits, but Cam Evans stood out above the rest, won most of his duels, taking a battering throughout. A special mention to the defensive unit and a very good cameo from Joe Thomas. So, Alfie, a lot of sentiments there. We can maybe go through them one by one. But who stood out for you? I mean, your thoughts on let's take Sprangler first of all. Sprangler got a lot of plaudits yesterday. What were your thoughts on this performance?
Yeah, I think every game I've seen him play, he's looked like a midfielder we have missed. I think I said in the last pod, he's probably the best sort of defensive midfielder since Labadie. He's like that
Mm,
player we've been looking for. But yeah, he just there's a few instances where he lost the ball and he would track back and get a tackle from out of nowhere and win the ball and go up the pitch. Like he's a really good addition. I think he's played every game since coming in.
yeah, yeah, he came straight into the side, didn't he? And he's just getting those minutes. And yeah, I do feel just having that presence in the middle of the park, even if you're, not like, a big counter-attacking team or a big possession-based team, doesn't really matter. I think as long as you've got that presence and you can kind of dominate that almost like the center circle area, really,
Mm,
then you can kind of begin to control play or just break down attacks a lot better. Um, now, let's stick with the midfield because we had Cam Evans getting rave reviews, and I know he's not had huge amounts of plaudits earlier in the season here on this podcast, but getting rave reviews for his performance yesterday and seemingly moving into midfield has sort of done wonders for him. Of course, I think Biggins was ineligible for
mm.
the game yesterday because he's on loan from Shrewsbury. Um, but yeah, what did you make of? I mean, we can maybe bring in someone like Smith as well. We can talk about, but yeah, Cam Evans, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's played in every position possible since joining the club. I like him. I think I think I said last season to someone that he will just go in for a tackle. He's the sort of player who puts his body on the line. I think he moved into the midfield at Salford, and we obviously won. But yeah, yesterday I think I mentioned to my mum a couple of times like he was always getting knocks and like he was like the last person to get up. But I think that just shows his sort of determination to win the ball. And I thought he had a really good game. And then Smith, I thought first half it wasn't just him, but it was a poor first half. But second half he grew into the game a bit. But yeah, I just think it'd be hard now to get Biggins back into that midfield because of how
Yeah,
well they all played yesterday.
yeah, that's really interesting, and it's probably not something we've had an issue, a selection
Mm,
dilemma issue all season, really. So it's quite pleasant to be able to have one. But yeah, so when presumably Biggins will be back available, for the next game on Friday. Yeah, I mean, great to have an option like that off the bench if he doesn't actually start as well. Um, Okay, well then let's look at let's go a bit further forward then, looking at the front line. Obviously, Camwa, getting a goal, getting back on the goals score sheet with a fab finish, but it sounded like he was on a sort of attacking threat or one of the
mm,
major attacking threats yesterday, supported by Kroll and Ben Lloyd as well. What did you make of like the attacking three there, though, or maybe even how they were supported by the likes of Smith in midfield as well?
Yeah, I think they've been probably our best three performers of the last few games. Obviously, we lost Spellman, who is our top goal scorer. I thought, like, I'm not Spellman's biggest fan. He is our top goal scorer and everything.
Yeah,
Um, but he has played well a few times. But I just thought he was quite hard to sort of replace. But Ben Lloyd's done well. I think Ben Lloyd, game by game, he's just getting better and better. I remember in January, a few people saying, "Why did we extend his loan? Should have been a like." I know we kept Apoku, but they were looking more to forward to Apoku playing more. But now it's the other way around. Um, so Ben Lloyd, as I said, he's been getting better game by game. Bobby, great goal. You know, he was taking players on. What frustrates me about modern day wingers is that they go up to the defender, turn around, and pass back.
yeah, yeah,
They need to take them on. And as the game was going on, Bobby was doing that, and he was beating his man, and it was a great goal. But I think again, Kroll was brilliant up against an experienced back line. I know he was up there on his own again, which I think he should still be with someone else, but he was really good, and
mm.
he's just getting better game by game, like Ben Lloyd.
Yeah, and you make a really good point as well about Camera and the wingers sort of taking them on. If you are playing one up top, they need to be,
Mm.
almost getting to the byline or getting close to the byline and getting a cross in to support, Kroll the lone forward, because I think, obviously the way we set up, we're probably not in a position where we can really play two up top, because we just need to protect our back line,
Yeah,
or flood that midfield a little bit more. Um and yeah, the winger thing. Yeah, when they took, because like you might as well take them on and you might as well have a go. If you lose it, 50% of the
mm.
time, that's okay, because if you're going to pass it back and then the fullback just lumps it into the box anyway, it's a 50-50 chance whether you keep the ball or not. So yeah, I totally agree. And it's really good to see, particularly, at this level as well. Um okay, and then we had some comments as well on the defense. Obviously keeping a clean sheet, marvelous news. Sounded like both sides weren't like at their best, and perhaps it wasn't a game of huge amounts of quality. But did you feel like the back line were just solid enough to deal with what was thrown at them?
Yeah, I think my man of the match was Matt Baker. I just thought
Mm,
he won every tackle. He was winning the headers. I know there wasn't much attacking threat, but when there was, he was the presence. He was pushing up. Um, yeah, I don't think Jordan Wright had much to do. There was a few kicking mistakes, but if it means a clean sheet, then take it. Shepherd was all right. Joe Thomas, yeah, he played well when he came on. Tom Davis, his first few corners went straight out. I don't know if it was the wind, but they were trying a new tactic where they just all stood on the line and then the ball would go miles over.
okay.
Um, but I think he got the assist. I'm pretty sure he won the header and then Bobby scored. But yeah, I just think it was a solid performance, even if he was quite nervy towards the end.
Yeah, yeah, and of course we're talking as well last week. Well, you guys were talking last week about Shepherd, obviously, coming in to the side. We're looking at him to be one of our experienced guys, but he's just struggling to sort of get enough game time because of his fitness issues. But I think he played what? I'm just gonna have a quick look now. I think he played 70 odd minutes yesterday,
Yeah.
which yeah, 73 minutes before Joe Thomas came on. So, yeah, it feels like he's sort of getting slowly back up to match fitness. I mean, was it an improved performance in particular from Shepherd?
Yeah, I like Liam Shepherd. He was one of my favourite players in that COVID season, and I was gutted when he left. And when he came back, I remember saying, if he can stay fit, it's the signing of the season for us. We have missed him, but yeah, that experience is needed at the back because it probably would have been Joe Thomas or Cameron Evans being dragged out there again. It's I just hope we can get him in a run of games now where, yeah, play him against Crawley and then Notts County, maybe, rotate him to get his fitness back up. And then it's those run of games, three against teams around us, and then Oldham, it is vital to have experience, and I think Ryan Delaney as well coming in. I he's not he doesn't get all the sort of praise. He's a bit underrated, I feel. There's been a few times where he's made a couple of mistakes, but I think just having that sort of experience has helped
Yeah.
the rest of the back line.
Yeah, exactly. Having a wise head, and he doesn't have to do anything spectacular. He just needs to sort of be there and,
Mm,
yeah, like you say, just sort of help the rest of the back, get through the game. Yeah, you mentioned the games coming up. Let's look ahead a little bit to next weekend first of all. In fact, yeah, I mean we can just run through the six because we've only got 6 games left. It
mm,
feels, it's huge, isn't it?
I know.
So Crawley at home on Good Friday, next Friday. They're level on points with us in 21st. Then it's away to Notts County up in third, so they're gunning for automatics. Harrogate at home, bottom of the league. Harrogate at home next Saturday, another huge game. Cheltenham away, they're in 18th at the minute, so they're probably feeling they're just about safe.
Mm,
Maybe after the next 3 games, they might actually be mathematically safe, and
mm,
then they may have less to play for. Oldham at home, and then the penultimate game of the season, they're up in 10th position before that big one, Barrow away on the final game of the season against the side immediately below us. And yeah, let's not forget as well, they do have a game in hand at the moment
mm,
over us. So win that game in hand, we do drop back into 23rd place. Um, Looking at, yeah, we had a couple of comments as well, looking ahead, that Hamid, friend of the pod on Blue Sky, who said that last Saturday was exactly the sort of performance we needed, by not being amazing but still bagging the
mm,
3 points. But more importantly, he says we need to follow up on Friday and get back-to-back wins for the first time this season, which is a mad statistic. And John Watkins on Facebook as well. Doesn't matter how at this stage. Win at Crawley on Friday, then it's a bit of a free hit at Notts County before that, Harrogate. And he says 3 wins to be sure of safety needed. Now, are we in a position yet to know like what we need out of these last 6 to stay up, or is it just a case of taking it week by week, game by game? Have you given any thoughts on like how many wins you'd be happy with, or at this stage?
Um, I just think it's such a poor League Two. This is from 16th down, maybe 18th with Cheltenham are, but it's been so poor that like I just can't see. It might happen, but I just can't see that the likes of Harrogate and Barrow winning 3 and us having to. I just think, and Tranmere as well are dropping. I just think that most teams have maybe got a 1 win in them, maybe 2 draws, sort of thing. I just think we got to take it game by game because we've lost games and they've also lost games. And then it's typical when we win, Barrow and Crawley go and win. And Harrogate a few weeks ago beating Cambridge, which wouldn't have happened 6 weeks ago, sort of thing. So it's just very unpredictable. But it's such a poor league. We just we just gotta win. We
Yeah,
have to win and just it's in our hands despite the game in hand for Barrow. I feel like yesterday, even though we won, it just felt like a dagger sort of in the back. Like it's still not there. Like it is in our hands with these games coming up. But Crawley might be thinking, "Oh, we got to play Newport. Like they're you know just as bad as us, sort of thing." So yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's tough to try and say, "Oh, take 4 wins," but it's just game by game.
I agree. It's just like you say, it's impossible to sort of figure that out, or figure out exactly what is required, because you look at like the form guide, and you look at, I mean, a lot of these teams are, 1 win in 10 or 2 wins
Mm,
in 18. I think it's, Barra's first win since like mid-February, and they, against Bromley of all teams as well. Um, and then thing is, as soon as you start delving into, teams run-ins, yeah, you just can't you can't really
no,
delve too much, can you?
no.
I did notice though that Shrewsbury have got quite a bit of I think they play Tranmere. I think they still play Crawley as well. So Shrewsbury may have a bit of a hand to say in the last games
Mm,
of the season. But yeah, I'm still on. I think it's too far out yet to figure out what we
Yeah.
need. And you know, all of these teams could suddenly just pick up because of
Yeah.
the sheer desperation at this stage, isn't there? It's an absolute dogfight down there.
Mm.
Um, so I don't think, looking at historical points tallies for 22nd place is really going to do us any favors. And
No.
I think, yeah, focusing on ourselves, and hopefully that's what Fuchs can do. Just really sort of hone that sort of level of
Mm.
sharpness and focus over the next few days ahead of, what is going to be, quite frankly, a huge game against Crawley on Friday.
Yeah.
Um, Confidence level, where's your confidence level right now? Because mine has oscillated like wildly over the last month or so. What are you
I
feeling?
I think I think if the Crawley result had been different yesterday, I'd be a lot more confident going in to Friday. But I just know how this club works. I just know it's we're going to ruin it and then do it the last day, sort of thing. So on one hand, I'm like, it's ours to lose, and on the other hand, it's like it's Newport County. We don't do things easy. So I'm just a bit here and there. I would like to say maybe like 65% confident that we'll be all right, but just in the back of my mind, like I know what it's like.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just, like I said, pleasantly surprised that we're out of the bottom two already, and we're not.
Mm.
I mean, with the Great Escape, I think we were chasing it until probably the penultimate. I think, did we get out of the bottom two of the penultimate game? I'm not sure now, but
Uh,
I think
yeah, I
I think
think
we
we
might.
were out last
Yeah,
day.
because we just
Like
needed to match
going,
the result, didn't we? So,
yeah,
um, yeah, so I'm pleasantly surprised with, we've picked up that, little run of form and got ourselves into that position already with
mm,
6 games left. But yeah, you look at those 6 pointers and you think, oh, that, win that, and then yeah, we
mm,
could be golden. But lose that, and then we're in a whole heap of trouble. So
mm,
um yeah, game by game for me at this
yeah,
stage, game by game. Crawley, absolutely massive on Friday.
mm,
Right. Before we sign off, I thought this was interesting from John Watkins as again on Facebook. Perhaps looking ahead to next season, and you mentioned this as well, Alfie. Kroll, he said Kroll worked very hard, and he believes he could be a star man next season as long as you gets strengthened signings in. So I did see a lot of comments as well, saying if we do manage to stay up, the summer's going to be pretty massive. Um, Now, I don't want to delve too much into this, just because,
mm.
like I say, we've got a long way to go before the end of the season or looking ahead to next season. But have you given thoughts as to who might be here, next season to give, Fuchs a real chance to sort of rebuild? I mean, thoughts on Kroll? Can you see him being like a proper star next season with like, half a season under his belt in the Football League?
Yeah. I think especially over the last 3 games, he's grown into sort of a dogfight down in the bottom of League Two. This is probably the hardest. Is unless you're fighting for promotion to get out of the conference, this is probably the hardest it's going to be um, in the Football League. I like him. I think he's someone who will eventually adapt sort of the Newport culture and be a fan favorite. I think he's a fan favorite now, but I think he'll just be someone who will just carry the club sort of on his back. And yeah, because it's quite hard, probably coming from semi-pro Cymru Prem football to a relegation fight straight away and not getting game time, and then all of a sudden 3 really good performances in a row. You're the number one striker for a team who are fighting for your lives.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's a step up and being asked to sort of, yeah, put in that performance. If you come off the bench for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and then yeah, having to put that shift in, yeah. So it's kudos to him
Mm.
for stepping up, and hopefully he can get us a couple of all important goals to get some more points. Right. Let's sign off for this episode. Before we go, any shout outs or beefs, Alfie?
No, nothing for me really. Just how well done to the team for winning. Really.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my shout out is, to the side for actually grinding out that
Mm.
win, because I've been I'll be honest, I've been quite critical about our inability to see a game out, and I have questioned whether, Fuchs and the side had that real nous to sort of battle with those, horrible League Two teams who'll just
Mm.
they just know what to do to win. So, yeah, fair play to actually, proving me wrong and showing that, you do have that. And, yeah, fantastic 3 points, like I say. Right, yeah, let's leave that there, because we could delve into a little bit more, but like I say, it's just game by game, and we've got a long 5-day wait now until our next biggest game of the season at Crawley. Right, folks, keep yourself subscribed to the 1912 Exiles wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks to your support, your contributions today. On the socials and in the correspondence. We love hearing all of your views and your various opinions. And thanks as well on our Ko-fi page and all that support as well. Until next time, look after yourselves, folks. Look after each other. And as always, keep it county.